Hello, this is a video about week 11 of The Artist's Way and my experience with the program. My name is Grace and I've been creatively blocked for several years now. Did a lot of art in high school, but felt pressured to pursue STEM instead when I was going to get a degree. And now after going to college and spending all this time and money on a degree, I've decided to do a 180 and just kind of throw myself back into artistic work. It's something I think the world needs right now. It's definitely what I need right now. And getting back into art after I graduated was always something I tried to do, but I really struggled to stay consistently motivated and inspired. This book has helped me so much. It's honestly impossible to even quantify just how much I've seen myself grow over the past 11 weeks. All this to say, I highly recommend this book for anyone who feels like they are struggling to get back into a creative hobby that they used to love, who feels stuck, who feels depressed about their relationship with art. I am not exaggerating when I say it has been a game changer for me. Anyway, as for the tasks of week 11, I think there are some pretty good ones in here. First, you are asked to read the basic principles every day this week, which I've admittedly not been super consistent with because I just get very bored reading the same thing. In earlier weeks, I said that they kind of just felt like words on a page, but now after going through this whole process and reading them more, I feel like they're kind of closer to something that I truly believe when I read them now. Is that brainwashing? I don't know. But I do think internalizing those principles has become easier as I've become more compassionate and open throughout the process. Next, you are asked to write your own artist's prayer, which I'm still working on, to be honest. I've been resistant to this task for a couple reasons. One being that I was raised religious and never really bought into it. Even when I was a kid and we were supposed to, memorize scriptures, it was like my brain just refused to do it. I had no interest in it, and there was probably some undiagnosed ADHD in there as well. And also, this task just feels a little bit daunting because I feel like I need to be in a perfect and kind of more reverent headspace to even start. And I feel like I am going to want to tweak it a lot and make sure that it has the right flow and the right message. So I'm just kind of overthinking this one a little bit, but it's definitely one that's it's going to go into the overflow list of tasks that I'm still working on. Next task was to set aside some pages in a creative notebook where you dedicate a page to a few different categories like health, relationships, etc., and list 10 things in each category that you would wish for. Of course, I like this one because I love lists, but I am finding some categories harder than others. For example, the possessions category is easy. I wrote things like a house, a sunroom, an art studio, a pizza oven, a panini press. You get the idea. But other categories like spirituality and creativity were a little harder, and I found myself having to spend more time thinking about what fits into those categories and what specific things I wish for within them, instead of just very broad things like I want to be better at being creative. The next task was one called Honest Changes, where you take stock of how you've changed since starting the 12-week course, and this one is really moving to acknowledge. It's a chance to kind of give yourself flowers and really let yourself feel proud of how you've changed. Some of the things I wrote for mine were I have gotten better at writing, I feel faster, and I'm accessing my vocabulary with greater ease. I'm not stopping and stuttering as often or doing the equivalent of that when I'm writing. I feel like I've improved at making these videos and talking on camera. My confidence has improved. I feel proud of my flavor and I'm excited to show it off. I feel less embarrassed of my interests. I'm actually making a lot more art instead of just thinking about it. And I'm accessing inspiration more easily thanks to the morning pages. I feel more sure of my values, and I just feel all around a more healthier person, both physically and creatively and spiritually and all of those things. So The fifth task is to write 5 ways in which you expect to change as you continue. I ended up splitting this one into 2 different tasks because that's just kind of what came naturally to me. I listed 5 ways I will change and 5 different things I will do because I noticed I was writing more of the latter at first, and that distinction felt important. The last 2 tasks ask you to list the ways you plan to nurture yourself in the weeks to come, and to plan 1 week of nurturing yourself where you do one lovely thing for yourself every single day. I ended up with a pretty good long list of art supplies and courses and artist dates that I intend to take in the future, but I don't know how well I accomplished the 1 week of nurturing where you do something lovely every day because I've still been stingy with money. But I tried to do little things like wearing my favorite jewelry for no reason, taking a hot bath, pampering myself, and just things like that that are easily accessible. Okay, so for the check-in, first of all, she asks, how many days this week did you do your morning pages? And how was the experience for you? And have you recommended morning pages to anyone else, and why? 7 out of 7 days. I did skip today, but today is technically next week, so it's already week 12. But I am running into some resistance starting them, I've noticed this past week. I think I'm a little bored with the routine of sitting in the same place, and I might start just trying to write them in a different room or something. Once I start them, though, I am getting less distracted during them, which is an improvement. I can't say whether or not that's thanks to the sticky note from last week. We'll say it's helping. And I have recommended them to some family a couple times now. And honestly, I would recommend them to anyone who will listen, even if you're not doing the Artist's Way course. I just think that they've been so beneficial. I don't think they should be a secret. And I wouldn't gatekeep something that's been so healing and like objectively productive. Did you do your artist date this week, and have you considered scheduling an entire artist's day? What did you do and how did it feel? So for my artist date this week, I decided to go to a yoga class on Friday morning, and I specifically sought out an old teacher of mine who taught me yoga something like 8 or 9 years ago. Her class was the first one that I did really consistently because I took it through a community college and it was graded. But it was also because she taught it in a way that was not only exercise but the spiritual side of yoga as well. And a lot of that has really stuck with me. I wasn't sure if she'd recognize me after all these years, but she did. And it was so good just hearing her voice again. It was like one of the most cathartic experiences to hear that voice again after I don't know, I didn't expect to have that kind of like emotional reaction to that auditory sensation of her voice, because that is a voice that has like walked me through a lot of poses and a lot of challenges and interesting things. She was like a very, very influential teacher of mine. So I was very excited to talk to her. I will be excited to take more of her drop-in classes in the future. So yeah, it was a really good artist date, all in all. Next was, did you experience any synchronicity this week and what was it? I'm still struggling with this one. I feel like I will experience little blips of synchronicity, but nothing huge. Nothing that like sticks in my brain by the time we get to the end of the week and I'm here answering this question. But I did experience some synchronicity with my yoga teacher's name coming up in a couple different places, not just her name and her class specifically, but other people with the same name. And it's an uncommon name. Caterpillars seem to be coming up this week. And how do I say this delicately? Some phallic imagery, for whatever reason, has been coming up a lot. Just in a lot of movies and TV shows that I've watched this week, it's just been a very prominent feature, like a lot. And maybe it's just a sign of like the times and how horny media is today. I don't know. I'm not complaining. I'm just being honest. And finally, were there any other issues this week that you consider significant to your recovery, and describe them? So I'm having a little bit of trouble with hand strain again, and just the general like things I need to improve, like leaving the house more, getting up earlier, getting enough sleep, staying off my phone, blah, 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 blah. And I've also noticed that I tend to be front loading my week a little bit and kind of going a little crazy on Monday, trying to get things done. By Tuesday, I sort of have like a crash and don't get as much done as I hope to on Tuesdays, and then it sort of evens out throughout the week. I'd like to experiment a little bit more with my schedule in that way and just kind of see if I can improve that, because I'm not sure I like how that's going. Another thing I'd like to work on a little bit more is recording my dreams more consistently. And I think it's important to do that because I do draw a lot of inspiration from them, but only if I can remember them. So I've also had some issues with comparing and feeling discouraged with my output, and how long it takes me to finish things and how small my portfolio is as of now. But that's something I'm improving with time, and I'm lucky to have some very supportive people in my life who keep encouraging me even when I have these feelings. Finally, on to the goals that I have set for myself each week. I'm very pleased to say that I'm getting much closer to meeting those goals. The ones that I set back in like week 9 or 10, the goals were to do at least 3 paintings per week, write at least 3,000 words, and to just draw something in my iPad every day, or practice anatomy, or like, I don't know, something like that. Just get better at like technical skills. Anyway, this week I did 2 pretty big paintings and a bunch of little ones. The little ones didn't take a lot of effort, but it felt really good to just go for it and use the canvases with what was left on my palette after the big paintings. I'm finding a good balance between the challenge and the discipline of larger paintings, big like planned ones, and then these like little fun low pressure things like this. It's also a really good way to use up that extra paint left on my palette after a big piece, so I feel less like I'm wasting paints. And I also laid the foundation for 2 more big pieces to work on next week. One is going to be of the beach, and the other one is going to be my final piece for my color theory course that I started around the same time as The Artist's Way. So really cool that those will be lining up together. As for writing goals, I managed to write 2,000 words this week, and I think 3,000 next week is definitely doable. I'm finding what helps is to not only go to the library or coffee shop and write, but to have some time constraints around it so I don't just like flounder for some unspecific amount of time. Having a deadline of like, okay, I need to be out of here by 2 p.m. or I'm meeting up with a friend at a certain time really helps me use the time productively so that I don't spend like 20 minutes looking at a thesaurus or researching the diets of people in the 1800s. And then the third goal of like sketching and practicing some kind of technical skills like anatomy every day is still falling by the wayside for me. I don't know if I need to pick a specific time to do this, or like what is gonna like kind of help me work it into my routine. Like maybe right after writing the morning pages I could try it. I'm just having obviously some issues with wrist strain, and I'm starting to think this one might not be possible while I'm doing so much painting and writing at once. And that's okay. Digital art is something I really want to improve at, and I think once I'm in a good place with painting, then I will make the switch naturally, because oil painting is really, it just seems like I'm gravitating more towards that recently, and I'm going to follow that. So, oh, and finally, I did finally start a scrapbook page using all my pressed and laminated flowers from previous weeks. I also included a few cute stickers that I've collected from other artists on Etsy and at local craft fairs and at other events that I've gone to over the past few weeks. There's still some space to add a few other things and fill it out once I find what fits. And I'm really excited about this because it feels like a good reflection of my journey and like the start of a new chapter in my life. So, ending thoughts, I'm just really excited about how far my painting has been coming along, how much faster and easier that and writing have started to come, and I really hope that continues. Now I'm going to go cry because we're about to start week 12, and this is I'm not ready for it to be over. But I have some really nice plans for my artist date, not my last artist date, but last week 12 artist date, and I'm narrowing down some options for another book to start after I finish this one so that I can have, something to follow along with to kind of replace what this course has been for me. And honestly, no promises, but I might keep making weekly vlogs like this. I hope I do. It's just going to kind of depend on my future work schedule and a few other things. But I really like how this has kind of held me accountable, and it's been a really good way to track my progress. So we shall see. That is it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in week 12.